to Jason. We'll get started. Good morning, Jason.
Thanks, Nicole. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning for this, I suppose, whistle-stop short webinar that we're just running to, I suppose, to help support you guys just on the stage 1 grant payment process for 2021. So I'll literally be probably 60 seconds quick intro, and then I'll hand over to my colleague John King in grants compliance, who's going to run through, I think it's about 10 or 12 slides, just to run through what I suppose our expectations for the payment process and just to help give you a steer. So again, I've thrown in the objectives. Obviously, the key objectives today are to upskill yourselves, to make the payment process as efficient as possible, and just to gain a deeper understanding of, I suppose, what our requirements in terms of documentation or just the process in terms of uploading documents. So just some housekeeping at the start, so just so everyone knows, I think your mics are muted anyway, but the event has been recorded, so it's something we will be able to share afterwards, and hopefully maybe we'll actually look at putting up on our website. So I've mentioned the attendees, they're muted and cameras off. We will obviously, the presentation will run for about 10-15 minutes. And then we'll have 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A. So there's a Q&A function probably on the right hand side of your screens. So I would ask that anyone that has questions, drop them in there and send to all. So make sure so that all panelists can see them. What we'll do is if there's questions we can answer with a quick reply on the message inbox, we'll do it as we're going. Otherwise, we'll run through as many of the questions at the end of the event, and anything we don't get to by 11:30, we'll be converting this into an FAQ document to be shared with everyone on the call today. So if we don't get to it, apologies, but we will cover it on an FAQ document. We will also share the recording and the slides after the event, and I've mentioned the FAQ will be developed. Just quickly, so just in terms of agenda, John is going to run through the payment documentation, the EXEED grant claim workbook, which is kind of the Excel document that you submit to us, kind of summarizing all your payments. It's going to run through some sample bank statements and invoices to help give you an idea of what's expected. It's going to run through the tax credit certificate explanation, and there's a small bit of additional information at the end where I'm going to jump back in just in terms of the supporting process documentation, the EXEED studies that need to be uploaded. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to John to kick it off. And I'll chat to you towards the end. Thanks very much. I think you might be on mute, John.
Sorry, John. I think you might be on mute. Do you want to try unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yes.
All right. Sorry.
Start fresh, John.
Yeah. Good morning. Sorry. My name's John King. I'm on the grants compliance team. So we're responsible for reviewing the payment documentation that gets submitted. So I'll run through, it's quite a short presentation, basically detailing what we're looking for when we're reviewing the payment documentation. It'll help you submit the right stuff first time, so there's no hold up in getting payments sent out to you. So to claim your milestone payments, you need to upload the following information to your individual SharePoint folder, which you should already have access to. So we need a complete payment request form. We need a completed grant claim workbook. We need invoices detailing what measures have taken place, and then proof of payment of the invoices. We're looking for bank statements showing payments, and if you pay in large payments, so EFTs, we require a breakdown of that. And with your first payment request, so if you're on a larger grant that has multiple milestones, we need a headed bank statement confirming the bank details that are entered on the payment request form. So the payment request form's a one-page document, and you enter general details on it, such as your grantee name, your grant reference number, and the approved amount on your letter of offer. So you'll find all that information on the Schedule A of your letter of offer. Then we want you to enter eligible costs incurred to date and the grant amount that you're looking to claim for. This is also where you enter your bank account details that you're wanting to receive payment of the grant into. Okay, so with invoices, there's a few things that we're looking for. So all of the invoices need to be addressed to the grantee as named on the grant agreement. They need to be dated after the offer date on your letter of offer. That's on the front page of your letter of offer. Anything that predates your grant approval date is classed as ineligible, so we can't make payment for that. And any invoice with cash sale is not eligible. So everything needs to be shown to be paid through a bank statement. Regards to proof of payment, so the best form of proof of payment is a headed bank statement showing the money debiting your account to the supplier. If it's part of a larger batch payment, a copy of the EFT remittance is required, showing the breakdown of how it fits into the larger payment. And just a note that an invoice stamped as paid isn't classed as acceptable form of proof of payment. Everyone should have a grant claim workbook. So that would be customized for your grant, and you should have already received it. It'll be in your SharePoint folder. Before you begin with the workbook, there is a Start tab, which gives you instructions on how to complete the workbook. Basically, this is where you enter your invoices. So you enter details of your invoices and your proof of payment under the relevant tabs. And that's what we review in line with the invoices. So it's how we know what you're actually claiming for. Okay, so this is a sample of an invoice. So the main things that we'd be looking for is we'd be looking to see that the invoice is addressed to the in the grantee's name. We'd be looking for the date that the invoice was paid on, and we're looking at the measure on the invoice. So it needs to clearly state on the invoice what it's for. So an invoice that just says works for Exceed grant isn't detailed enough for us. It needs to show the actual measure that's being requested payment for. This slide is showing you a sample bank statement. So what we're looking for on a bank statement is we're looking to see whose bank statement it is. So we're looking for the account details. We're looking for the name of the account so that we can link it back to the grantee. And we're looking for the payment amount to be debited from the account. And we're looking for basically to be able to match the details here on the bank statement against the invoice. If you send a bank statement or a transaction report through that don't confirm that the payment's actually debited the account, that's not classed as eligible, and we'll go back to you asking for probably the bank statement to show the invoice being paid. Okay, this slide's giving you an example of one of the tabs on the grant workbook. So there'd be three tabs where you could enter information. So there's your professional fees, capital. This is for stage 2, a capital, and the post-investment fees. So we ask that you enter the invoice details line by line, so each invoice gets its own line item. Okay, and that you reference the invoices. So the invoice will have its own reference number on it, and then if you can apply a reference number of A1 for the first invoice, and then for each additional invoice after there, reference it A2, A3, A4, etc. As this helps us process your payment quicker. And then if you have a relevant bank statement, just apply the code C1 to that so we can match it up. Okay, this tab is just showing you the summary tab of the grant claim workbook. So once you've entered all your invoice details, as shown on the previous slide, this summary tab will calculate your grant amount, essentially. It'll show at the bottom here. It shows the grant amount, the percentage that's being applied, and your total eligible costs. So this gives you the breakdown of how much you can expect to receive in your grant funding once you've submitted all your invoices on there. Okay, and just the final point. In order to receive payment from SEAI, you need to be tax compliant with the revenue. This is checked using the tax reference number that you provide on the application form directly with the revenue. If it comes back that you're not tax compliant, then we can't make any payment, and you need to contact the revenue and rectify it. It doesn't give us any reason why you might not be tax compliant. It just comes up and says not compliant, so we can't release payment until it's actually showing as rectified with the revenue on their site. Okay, hopefully that's quite clear for you there and helping you out a bit with submitting the payment request. I'll just hand you back over to Jason now.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I'll just finish off. So on top of all the payment documentation that John has obviously mentioned there for the stage 1 payment request, which is that you're basically drawing down payment from your stage 1 offer. For the generally, often it's for the professional services. So for let's say for the ED expert to complete the EXEED studies. So we require the applicant to upload the 4 documents there on the left, which are the EXEED documents. So the project execution plan, the energy balance study, evidence of the challenge analyzed, and we're conscious that may or may not be part of a document that also has the energy saving register as well. So but we just need to see evidence of all 4, I suppose, deliverables completed to, I suppose, justify the scope of work has been completed as per the letter of offer. So, and that they will be uploaded to the SharePoint folder. So there's a separate folder for the EXEED documents there in the SharePoint folder you would have for uploading the payment documents. So I just want to, I suppose, stress that they are needed on top of your invoices. And just that's it really. There's one question in, John, that I'd move to. So there's just some contact details here. Obviously, if you have any more detailed queries and you don't feel you want to put it into the Q&A, by all means follow up an email to exceed@seai.ie, and we can, if needs be, if there's specific kind of nuances in your case, we can set up a call as soon as possible, really, because we are eager to. The reason for this as well is we're eager to close out all these payments before the end of the year. We have had some delays with this new kind of platform we have for making the payments, which is now coming towards an end. There's some final kind of snags that need to be fixed in terms of an import, but we will be making payments over the next 4 to 5 weeks. But starting this week and next week, but there'll be a number of payments happening. So we really want you guys to come in. There's just one question, John. It's to yourself from Vincent. What do we require as proof of payment in the case where a client is using a third party for a procurement service?
Checking you can hear me again there.
Yeah.
No more mute problems. So if you're using a third party, I mean, it can differ like case by case, but generally we would ask that we see the invoices that show like the original invoices, and we need to see payment to the supplier. So we need to see the invoices being paid, and we need to see it linked back to the grantee. So, I mean,
does that mean there might be more than one chain?
So so we need to see each step of the chain in that situation, but it can depend on the paperwork, to be completely honest with you. So in some cases, if you can show payments leaving your account and I can see the original invoices, then I might just need an extra little breakdown showing how like a large payment adds up to the invoices. It does all depend on what the paperwork looks like in a case like that. So if that is the way that your invoices are being paid, then just contact us. Once you've uploaded it, just let me know. We can have a look very, very quickly whether I can accept it or what else I'd need in order to release the payment. So all our payment paperwork is subject to like audit requirements. So yeah, if it's not a straightforward you paying from your own bank account to the person who's invoiced you, then just get in touch with us and we'll be able to tell you, looking at the paperwork quite quickly, what we need from you.
Perfect. So Vincent, yeah, get in touch if you want to go through that specific example. That's the only question that's in there at the minute. I don't want to hold people up. All I would say is, I don't think it came up earlier, is just on the bank statements, John. We don't obviously need to see all line items of a bank statement at the
Yeah, we're only interested in what's relevant to the grant. So you can redact out any payment that's on a bank statement that isn't relating to the grant. We're not interested in anything that's not relating to the grant. And if you have any questions when you're putting your paperwork together, drop us an email or call us. We can help you out putting the information in rather than putting it in and waiting for us to get rounds of reviewing it and then having to go back to you. If you think there's anything that's not straightforward, just get in touch with us and we'll have a look at it.
Super. Thanks, John. In that case, there's nothing else in here on the Q&A, so I think I might cut it at that. People might be more inclined to watch a 20-minute video than a 30-minute video. Thanks everyone again for attending today. Hopefully you found it helpful. If anyone, as I said, slides, recording will be shared. There's probably no need for an FAQ document from this. We'll just touch base with Vincent individually on that in the case of your query. But other than that, I'll close it at that, and thanks everyone for attending, and we'll hopefully chat to you soon.